Hey guys, it's Tom Box here. Welcome to MST.TV. Now this video, we're going to be answering one of the top most frequently asked questions in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh ruling. What is priority? How do I get more of this priority thing? Why do people think it's gone? And how does that relate to fast effect timing? All that and much more coming up. Now this video is brought to you by the Patreon. Thanks to the Patreons and YouTube members. If you want to show your support, go hit the link down in the description below or hit the join button, and all the support will go towards developing new segments and also paying the cost for reviving Nishi. Yeah, that's right. That's a thing too. Monster Reborn ain't cheap on this side of the world, apparently. And go check out some new duel videos as it's up as well. So anyways, let's get into this video. So what is priority? Well, priority is the fundamental rule or mechanic in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Which determines which player can activate their cards or effects at any particular point in the game. And there's three things that you should note about priority. One is the turn player always starts with priority, hence coining the unofficial term of turn player priority. And then the second thing is, during an open game state, the turn player has priority. And the third thing is, this particular mechanic is directly related to fast effect timing. And also, you can pass priority, so you give your opponent the chance to activate the very first card. So essentially what it breaks down to is that it is the fundamental rule that kind of structures out card activation between players so that it doesn't become a rat race of who can activate cards the fastest. So it's like a very fundamental rule in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now why am I talking about priority? Well, priority gets abused by experienced players versus new players because new players don't exactly know what it is, so they take the word of mouth of the more experienced players, therefore getting themselves screwed over sometimes. And I want to bring this to light mainly because I just want it to stop happening, and I kind of want everyone to be on a level playing field as always. So what are the three most common ways that people cheat with priority? The first one is claiming that they have priority, therefore they can activate multiple cards in succession, because I'll always be able to activate cards until I say I don't want to activate cards, then you can activate cards. That is wrong because that goes against chain building integrity. So the second way is saying that they have priority, therefore they activate their effect. They say that their effect has priority because they're the turn player, and therefore it will resolve before anything else happens, which is completely wrong, because if you activate a card that starts a chain, or even if it doesn't start a chain, in response to it, I can chain something to it. You know, there's a possibility for that too. So yeah, they just activate a card effect and resolve it right away, therefore skipping your opponent's opportunity to respond to it entirely. That is wrong as well. And the third way is saying that your opponent does not have priority, therefore making them lose out on an opportunity to activate something when they didn't activate something that started a chain. That's right. That means they just say, oh, you don't have priority, therefore I can activate stuff. Skipping your opponent's opportunity is also another way of people cheating. And if you do these things, and you still do these things, go eat a brick, you filthy cheat. Sometimes they're not doing it intentionally because they were taught that way. I don't get it. So let's just clear the air here. And to clear the misinformation of why people say that priority does not exist anymore, that's mainly because between 2011 and 2012, 11 for OCG, 12 for TCG, the rules for ignition effect-based monsters have changed. Priority has changed for ignition-based effect monsters. What do I mean by that? Well, before 2011, how things worked was this. When you summon a monster with an ignition effect, what you can do is within the summoning window, when it's successfully summoned, basically the same timing as Torrential, Bottomless Trap Hole, and the like, you are able to activate the ignition effect of that monster as Chain Link 1. That's what it is, and it's pretty insane of how many combos that you could do because of it that help you net a lot of advantage. But after 2011, 2012 for TCG, that was gone. That was completely removed. So old combos, let me just give you some quick examples here. Lone Fire Blossom and Torrential Tribute. If I normal summon out my Lone Fire Blossom, I can immediately say priority, tribute it off for cost, and then I can be like, within that same chain, if my opponent has no response, I'll chain Torrential to it. Therefore, Chainlink 2 Torrential blows up the board, Chainlink 1 Lone Fire Blossom summons out, say, Dandelion onto the field. And that was a very common play back then, which was really ridiculous, but also very, very strong. And same for like cards like Blackluster Soldier. Say I summon out BLS, and you have a Bottomless Trap Hole. I'll be able to say priority, BLS activate and target your monster. And now, even if you flip Bottomless Trap Hole, your monster will still get banished. However, under the new rule after 2012, that can't happen anymore. So if I summon out that Lone Fire Blossom, I'll have a window for the Torrential Tribute and not the Lone Fire. And if I did the BLS thing, I'll be able to summon out the BLS. You can Bottomless Trap Hole, and I'll have no opportunity to activate Blackluster Soldier's banishing effect. So I can't even target your monster. So that was the whole ignition effect priority change. However, that does not affect quick effect monsters like, I don't know, Zodiac Dryden. If you summon a Zodiac Dryden, you will have priority to activate Zodiac Dryden if you want, or any other spell speed 2 card, because it's turn player, you can activate any spell speed 2 card, not just your monster effect. Does that make sense? Alright, so now that that one's out of the way, priority still exists, just ignition effect based priority in the summoning window. Well, that doesn't exist anymore, alright? So we're going to look at this fast effect timing chart here, because this fast effect timing chart illustrates how priority really works. And if you know this fast effect timing chart, I think you should know about this more than the term priority, because I really hate saying the word right now. I've been saying it way too much. So A, the game state is open. Turn player may perform any appropriate action. This just tells you turn player currently has priority. They can of course choose to pass priority, that is one of the options, or they can activate a card effect that starts a chain, or one that does not start a chain. We already kind of know how chains work because they go 1 1 1 1 1, but in terms of when they do something that does not start a chain, and ignoring trigger effects because that could basically start chain, saying there was no chains involved, the turn player is the one that gets the first fast effect, and that's a point where a lot of people kind of get cheated a little. But regardless, turn player has priority to activate the very first fast effect upon the action of something that does not start a chain. It's like setting a card, summoning a monster. Say I summon Sangan and I have Torrential. I can activate that Torrential first before you get to activate your spell speed 2s. Unless you have like a card that negated the summoning, that's a different story. But say the summon was successful and I have a set Torrential, I can activate that first before you activate one of your spell speed 2s. Okay, so if I don't activate my Torrential, then I pass priority to you, which allows you to activate any of your spell speed 2s that potentially is relevant at that time. If you don't activate anything, the game state goes back to an open game state. Once you pass priority, it's very important, like especially when you accidentally say, oh, go ahead. That is an assumption of passing priority, and therefore the game state is open again, and the turn player once again holds priority to activate the first action. You cannot do anything until the action is performed, because you can't just randomly activate cards out of your hand without giving your opponent without giving the turn player the opportunity to do something first. So yeah, that's what it is. And in terms of like how chain rules work, chain rules is very simple. The person that does not own the last chain, that person has priority. So in the context of, say, I activated Forbidden Chalice targeting your monster, priority passes. This thing is where the priority is at. So this is me, this is my opponent, and then they activate something in response. Whenever they activate something, it passes left and right, which is why chain links always go 1 1 1 1 1 1, or like chain link 1 is mine, chain link 2 is yours, chain link 3 is mine, chain link 4 is yours. That's kind of how it goes. But there are occasions where chain links 1 and 2 are mine. In terms of quick effects, it's mainly because one of them passed priority. I'm not talking about trigger effects, I'm talking about quick effects here. If you pass priority, and I'm going to give you the example in the context of a paleo player. Paleos, you guys understand this most because you need to chain your stuff on top of each other in order to get that summon. Say I activated a Reckless Greed. Activated Reckless Greed. So now my opponent has the opportunity to chain, and if they don't, well, they pass priority back to me then, and I have the opportunity to activate a paleo monster in the graveyard to summon it. Therefore, chain link 1 and 2 is with me, which is kind of how some of the chain blocking works for some of these effects, but I'll go into an example in a bit. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a summoning example regarding Stratos that activates this effect and a Stratos that does not activate this effect against triple Bottomless Trap Hole while I have only one copy of Xing Shang Hu Replica. Okay, so I normal summon out the Stratos and I activate his effect. And due to the fact that I activated the effect, I am Chainlink 1. And because I am Chainlink 1, as the owner of Chainlink 1 and the very last Chainlink of the current chain, I pass priority to my opponent to respond to my current Chainlink, and they can activate Bottomless Trap Hole, killing Stratos. But in the case that I summon out Stratos and I do not activate his effect, and due to the fact that no chains have started, the turn player currently still has priority, and now I can activate my Xing Sheng Hu replica, which ultimately stops any further chaining from happening and kind of killing the entire summoning window against my opponent. Therefore, even with the triple Bottomless Trap Hole, they will not be able to activate because I activate Xing Sheng Hu replica. So that is one form of priority where, because there was no chain versus there was a chain. And what about double chaining? This is kind of relevant to Paleo players and people that play Thunder Dragon Titan. Okay, so note that both Paleo and Thunder Dragon Titan, Paleo monsters in the graveyard in particular, they need to be chained directly onto its condition because they happen as part of the chain. Same with Titan's popping effect. Titan's popping effect, it needs to happen directly behind it, which is why a lot of people tend to activate random cards during the Zodiac and Paleo format. Whenever the opposing player activates a trap card, the person that owns a Dryden would be like, activate Dryden, pop that same trap card, therefore missing the condition for the one in the graveyard to activate. Same for the Thunder Dragon Titan. Thunder Dragon Titan, say I activate a Thunder Dragon from my hand, and then if my opponent responds with an Ash Blossom Joy Spring, my Titan can't activate because it needs to directly chain behind each other. Therefore, these card effects can only happen if either the priority is passed or the opposing player activates the condition that allows it to chain. That's how it really works. So hopefully that gives you guys a good enough example of it. So let's break down the priority in the phases, starting off with the draw phase. In the draw phase, very simple. Upon drawing a card, an action was performed. However, that action does not start a chain. Therefore, turn player currently possesses priority. And if you try to advance the phase, it just means that both players are passing priority and accepting a phase advancement. All right. So once you accept that the phases are going forward, we go into the standby phase, very much like the draw phase without the drawing. It's just turn player can activate the very first quick effect because turn player still possesses priority. Then if they try to advance into the main phase, when they say standby main, you can assume that they're passing priority to you. And once they get into the main phase, and once main phase is entered, then it's an open game state. And in that open game state, turn player, of course, has priority to perform the very first action. Now, during the moment when they say standby main, it doesn't automatically skip into the main phase. It just means that they're passing priority, and if you have a devastating card effect you want to activate during that standby phase, you should do it then. And if they try to say, oh, I actually wanted to activate something in the standby phase, and I'm turn player, so I have priority, well, you can say you've passed priority because you said standby main, and you try to gun it, and when you gun it, you got to give the other guy a time to respond. All right, so some people actually shot themselves in the foot because of that, so don't be one of those guys that get kind of screwed over. So once into the main phase, of course, anyone wants to gun for the main phase because turn player has an open game state. They can do whatever they want. Okay, well, what about going into the battle phase? Well, if you try to advance a phase, you're passing priority to your opponent for them to activate the very first card in the chain link. And if they do, they can activate something. If they don't, then we advance into the battle phase. Now, battle phase is a little bit different, the phase structure anyways. It starts off with the start step, and that's a step that nothing really occurs. It's the moment you enter the battle phase. Turn player has priority to activate something at the start step. Then the opposing player, if you pass it, then they can have priority to activate the very first card, which is cards such as Threatening Roar can be activated before the very first attack declaration is declared. But once you enter the battle step, turn player will have the ability to activate fast effects or declare an attack. And upon an attack declaration, because an attack declaration does not start a chain, turn player still has priority to activate the very first fast effect. Oh my god, I'm really tired of saying that, but it is what it is. So before you even activate, say, a card like Mirror Force, they can activate something like Xingshenghu replica to stop you from going into a mirror force or something like that, because upon attack declaration does not start a chain, therefore they can activate the first card still. How do you do, or what do you think about that? But again, once you go into damage step, same idea. Turn player priority is always going to be a thing because they are always going to have the very first activation. Alright, and then once you go to the end of the battle step entirely, because a sub-step of damage battle step is the damage step, and after that ends, it's just an endless loop of battle step to damage step. And once that finishes, you can go into the battle phase end step. The end step is a step that does exist. So when someone declares that they're like, I'm going to the end of the battle phase, once they have declared that they're going to the end of the battle phase, they can no longer declare any more attacks as the phase is going to try to advance, and that's the point where you activate cards like evenly matched. And the reason why when you go to like activate cards like evenly matched and you can't go back is because the end step is a step that does exist, and yeah, it just advances the phase forward once nothing occurs, where both players basically pass priority and the phase advances. So yeah, it's not like the main phase where if you do activate something when you try to advance to the next phase and try to go to the battle phase and something does occur, yeah, you can still linger in that main phase, but if you've declared the end of the battle phase, you cannot linger in that battle phase. And now you go back to main phase 2, which is again an open game state, rinse and repeat, and then end phase, same thing, rinse and repeat. There you go. The rundown of priority. Hopefully you guys are no longer going to get screwed over by people misrepresenting the whole ruling of priority and who can activate card effects at what time. Understand the fast effect timing. If anything, look at the fast effect timing chart. Keep yourself informed. That's all I got for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this long segment of me talking about priority and how does that work in Yu-Gi-Oh! Can you get more of it? I wish we could get more of it. And well, that is all I got. If you guys enjoyed this video, well, hit that like button, and once you have hit that like button, chain and hit that subscribe button, and once you've chained and hit that subscribe button, well, I will let it resolve, and just stay tuned for the lingering effects coming up, which is more videos in your feed. And as always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, unless you want to activate that and chain that too. But now I'm going to proceed to the end phase, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one as a response. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please drop us a like so we know we are doing a good job, and you can also subscribe to MST.TV for more fantastic videos by clicking on the button on the left. Don't forget to check out our partners at Imperium Duelist. They make really high quality mats, including some of my own limited edition release stuff. And if you want to check out one of our past videos, click here on the right. As always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV, and I'll see you next time.